Okay, this is Chapter 3 in Gregory Mankiw, and it is called Interdependence and the Gains from Trade. And in this chapter, we're going to be looking at the economist's view, our view of the benefits of trade. Okay, here we go. And remember, economics is about production, consumption, and distribution. And this distribution implies an open economy. And one thing that is implied in an open economy is that we all have to depend on each other in terms of the goods and services that are provided. Self-sufficiency is nice in some circumstances, but self-sufficiency doesn't produce the multitude of items that we have in our economy today. Now, as a little exercise, you might want to look at the clothing that you have on you or clothing in your closet. See where it is made. See where it is made by looking at the clothing label. And what you'll find is a geography lesson of different countries that are making your clothing. And one can say that this is a bad thing in terms of jobs being lost in the United States, but in reality it's a good thing because the United States has lost its advantage in doing that, and we all benefit in the United States from cheaper made products made in other places around the world, and in some cases even better made products around the world that we would not necessarily have if we just relied on our own country. Now our next slide is going to go into the inventors, the people who started this free trade discussion and economic discussion, and they are Adam Smith and David Ricardo. They were two 19th century economists from Great Britain. Adam Smith was a Scots. He lived in the 1700s, and David Ricardo lived in the early 1800s. They were the godfathers of our field. They were the earliest proponents of free trade, and in this chapter we will learn why their theory of free trade is good. And here's a picture of Adam Smith on the left, David Ricardo on the right. Smith wrote our founding book called The Wealth of Nations that resulted from specialization and increased productivity. If the production was specialized and each person did an individual little task, then society or the factory would have increased productivity. David Ricardo on the right argued for free trade amongst individuals and countries, and his book is called On the Principles of Political Economy. He argued against a protective tariff, which is a tax on imports called the Corn Laws that existed in the early 1800s in England. And he argued that if people did what they're relatively best at around the world, the entire world will benefit. Okay, now, a parable for the modern economy. We're in essence going to be looking at David Ricardo's model for international trade. Let's imagine there are only two goods, potatoes and meat, and only two people, a potato farmer, and a cattle rancher. Now, this is a simplified world of two goods and two people. Sometimes this model is a world of two goods, two people, and two resources, but we'll stick to two goods and two people. And the question is, what should each produce, i.e. specialize in, and why should they trade? I.e., we're going to find out they will get a better outcome. Now, these next two slides will step us back a bit, and then we'll proceed on with the discussion of the model. And there's a cow. Moo. Okay, interdependence and the gains from trade. Individuals and nations rely on specialized production and exchange as a way to address the problems caused by scarcity. But this gives rise to two questions. One, why is interdependence the norm? And two, what determines production and trade? Why is interdependence a norm? Interdependence occurs because people are better off when they specialize and trade with others. If you specialize, then you must depend upon other people to make the things that you want as you are making the things that they would want. We all need to depend upon each other, and the market is going to determine whether you stay or whether you go. If you do not produce the thing that others want, they will not buy it from you, they will buy it from someplace else. What determines the pattern of production and trade? Patterns of production and trade are based upon differences in opportunity costs, or what we will find out, this thing called comparative advantage, that we will learn a lot about in the next couple of sections. And comparative advantage is very, very important in that it gives a numeric answer as to what people should specialize in, and thereby increase the greater wealth of the economy. Okay, this ends section 1, and